What's going on, fam? It's the entertainer, the motivator, the educator, Lucky Murray, and I'm back with another CHH today. And guys, I really want to take some time to talk with you. I did a report earlier today about NF's and his Y record, which was, pretty good, but this is on a very serious tone, and the Spirit of God has really riled me up, because if you haven't heard, we lost in hip-hop. If you are a Christian hip-hop fan, if you're a Christian rapper, you have heard of this artist for some time. His name was XXXTentacion, and he was a bubbling artist out of Florida, man. Had a big following, huge following, and did pretty well independently, selling out shows, had a troubled past, but he was turning his life around. And unfortunately today he was gunned down, and the reason why I'm taken by this was because, and they call him X, I saw him as someone that, no, I didn't really follow his music. I knew some of his music, but I could respect as an artist, respect his talent. I could respect his motivation, his grind, and I could relate to the fact that he was a different cat. And being different, it's hard to find that group of people that will accept you from who you are. And X fans really accepted him for what he was, and he spoke to a lot of people that felt like outsiders as well. And though I did not listen to a lot of his music, though, I follow him because of DJ Academics, and I got accustomed to what he was doing and was really watching his stock rise in hip hop. To see somebody gunned down, and he was looking for motorcycles, but he was planning a charity event down in Florida. 20 years old, guys. 20 years old. And I was strolling on my YouTube, and I came across this YouTuber named the Vigilante Christian. The Vigilante Christian. I'm probably saying his name wrong, but it doesn't really matter. And he had this video. It said, why Lecrae was on Worldstar Hip Hop. Oh my gosh, Worldstar Hip Hop, the most worldly thing you can do. The worldly thing you can do. Why would you do that? And what he was saying was really upsetting me, because I'm gonna put it like this on Jump Street, and I need y'all to really respond to this, because two things. If you've been subscribed to my channel, you know two things. Yes, I have my opinion, but I very rarely say that somebody isn't a Christian, that somebody is lukewarm, that somebody isn't doing God's mission because it doesn't look like what I do. Now, I said Gazelle was struggling, but struggling does not mean that this brother is not a Christian. It just means that, hey, he has some things that he needs to get together, and he's working it out with God. Now, whether what that is, I don't have a clue. I don't have a personal relationship with Gazelle. John Givens, same thing. He's working his relationship out with God. Now, it's easy for me to be here in Greenville, South Carolina, and speak on this microphone and to talk to you about things I don't understand. And the Vigilante Christian, I feel like he's clueless. For one, he's a white guy. And I say this, guys, to say two things. One, you gotta be careful when you are a particular race that do not understand the hip hop culture, right? Now, I'm not saying that this guy is white and white people cannot understand the hip hop culture. No, he's white and clearly doesn't understand the hip hop culture. For one. And two, it's like, bro, we had a young man just was killed. He was just shot and killed driving from a motor sports show. A moto, like he was looking for a motorcycle. So he was leaving a motorcycle shop and was shot in his BMW, driving around, didn't bother anybody. And yet you ask why Lecrae was on Worldstar Hip Hop. Now, this particular young man, I don't know if he knew Jesus Christ, and right now it really doesn't matter, because if he didn't, do you think that he would have walked into a church and they would have accepted him for who he was? Now, again, I said that in the beginning that X was an outsider. He really did not feel understood. He suffered with depression and a lot of different things. And when he got into some trouble, he wanted to do the right thing. He wanted to turn his life around to make it positive. So my question is, why is Lecrae on Worldstar Hip Hop? Is it because that's where people who are lost, they need to be found? Yes, Worldstar Hip Hop has a lot of things on it that are not good. But why can't you be the light and go to the people? Now, this guy, he had a 16-minute rant, right? I had to stop halfway through it. You know why? Because he was just going on and on about nothing. Seriously, nothing. About accusations he has no idea are true or not. He's just going based on what he's seeing on the media. And because he has over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, he is speaking to the choir and saying, well, guys, you know, he's not unashamed. We need some brothers that's gonna be unashamed. Look here, brother. I clearly don't know Lecrae's motives, but how can you question this man and his love for God? And for the past 10 years, he was the banner of Christian hip hop. He won his Grammys, what you said, his Golden Gloves or his Emmy? He has an Emmy. He won his 2 Grammys in the gospel category. One for best gospel album and one for best gospel performance. Gospel. Did you hear that? Gospel. And a quote that the Vigilant Christian used was 2 Corinthians 6:14. It says, do not be yoked together with unbelievers, for what does righteousness and wickedness have in common? Which is true. But I'm thinking more so less of not being with somebody who's unbelief, but aligning your just aligning yourself with them in the sense of you and that person is tight. Y'all so tight that y'all are just attached at the hip, to the point where everything that this person does influences your decision making, and that person's thought process becomes your thought process. And in a sense, that's a yoke. A yoke is typically something that you put on an animal so they both can go the same direction. So if one goes right, one goes left, they gonna pretty much stay stuck until they both go in one direction. But I think that he's using this out of context. I work at Burger King right now, right? Are you gonna call me lukewarm because I associate myself with non-believers? I serve kids, or I serve people food, and they're not Christians. Are you gonna accuse me of dealing with worldly people because I serve them burgers? I think that's ludicrous. I think that's a stretch, and I think this brother is just blindly trying to lead people into a decision that doesn't make any sense. Like, yes, Lecrae has been featured on songs that have cursing on it. I can care less about that. Do you think Billy Graham had to go places where the gospel wasn't preached, and he had to talk to people about Jesus that didn't look like him, that didn't live his lifestyle? But how many people was affected by Billy Graham and his message and his revivals and his outreach. A lot of people that Lecrae wants to reach don't go to church. And the people like Vigilant Christian can say these things all day long. But show me where you can go into an urban context and you preach the gospel, and let's see how far you get. Let's see how far you get with this rah-rah for Jesus, and the person don't care less about Jesus because his mama is in a domestic abusive relationship, and he don't understand why Jesus will allow this to happen. Or somebody, uncle, brother, daddy got killed by a stray bullet. How you gonna tell them that Jesus will work it out when today they had their daddy left to go to work and he ain't coming home? Yeah, don't hear anything else from that. So I look at scriptures like this: 1 Corinthians 10, 31 through 11. So 1 Corinthians 10, I look at scriptures like this. So whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do it all in the glory of God. Just as I try to please everyone. I'm going to 33. It's 31 and 33, excuse me. On 1 Corinthians 10. Just as I try to please everyone in everything I do, not seeking my own advantage, but that of many, that they may be saved. So Paul is saying here that he's all things to all people, not for his advantage, so that people can be saved. So what's that mean, that be things to all people? Lecrae ain't on here cussing. His video does not have him with guns. He's showing love and he's being a light in a dark world. How do you be a light in a dark world? Do you hide the light underneath a lamp or a covering? No, you let it shine in a dark room so it can light up and illuminate the room. You can't do that just by being a good old Christian who go to churches and talk to other Christians about Jesus and whoever comes to churches. But if you go anywhere outside of the church, oh my goodness. I know it's a little long-winded, but it's crazy. And bro, your puns, the things that you talk about are not funny. Like when you said that, hey, Lecrae was in Superfly. He's trying to get rich with all his worldly buddies. Okay, first of all, look how much money do you make being an extra or being involved in a movie. I'm pretty sure Lecrae didn't have a starring role in it. He probably participated in the movie, probably made a cameo or two. That's again being all things to all people. But hey, I do not like when people try to comment on the hip hop culture and they have no idea what hip hop is all about. If you don't know the culture, if you never been a part of it, you can't talk about it. And then he looked at some lyrics, and don't pull some of the lyrics, and then try to pinpoint things that you feel as though that are not godly. You don't have to say Jesus to let your light shine. It doesn't make any sense. So, and then he said that he's a shepherd and he leads 1 million people. A rapper is not a pastor. Okay. A rapper is not a pastor. A rapper is just like that, a worker in the kingdom of God to point people to the kingdom. Now, can they help people get to the kingdom? Absolutely. Do their words have effect on people? And can it change lives? Absolutely. But is it Lecrae's job to shepherd 1 million people? No, he's just a rapper. He's not teaching, he's not preaching, he's rapping. And if you're not active, and then he's not really actively ministering like the terms that we should think it is. So I find it hard to believe that people look at people and be like, hey, you're not doing God's work. When I'm around people that Lecrae's trying to reach all the time, and I hardly say Jesus because that will turn people off. Trust and believe. As soon as you say, yo, I'm a Christian, this or that, they have a preconceived notion about what you're trying to do and what you're trying to become. But yeah, most people just want to condemn Lecrae to hell like they're the judge. I thought that was God's job. I don't know. I don't know. You can't question anybody's salvation. You don't know their heart. Simple as that, man. And I cautious the Vigilant Christian. I cautious you for a few things. One, if you have this much concern, pray for him. Don't put out videos like this. This is ridiculous. I feel like this is something that you would do for YouTube clicks, and I think that's what it is, a YouTube click. You know, you got Lecrae, you got Worldstar Hip Hop, you got worldly people, and you're the vigilante Christian. So you have to save the day and tell people who's in sin, why they're in sin. Or you could pray for them and ask God to help them, send more workers to show them the way. We never thought about it like that. Can we pray for people? Does that work? Of course it does. Just because we're online, everybody needs prayer. So anybody who's watching this video, I just suggest to you, look at the video, look at it. It's absurd. It really is. It's absurd. Like, people, we had a young man who was murdered today. Rising rapper. Would you think that he would have just happened to walk into a church? Or, you know, rising rapper just like Triple X on? Do you think that he would have just maybe scrolled on Worldstar Hip Hop, clicked on Lecrae video, and like, something different, and then search him out? Real talk is there. As the music stop is there. His testimony is there. Everything you need to know that leads him to why he does what he does is there. And maybe that could have started a relationship with Jesus. We don't know. But I'm glad Lecrae's on Worldstar Hip Hop, because it shows you that, hey, there's something different to offer versus sex, drugs, money, and girls. So, what do you think about this, man? Comment below. And I'm sorry, I know some of y'all gonna be like, well, like, you going too long, you been talking. Yes, I think it's that serious. Watch the video, and then you can watch my response. So, it's the entertainer, the motivator, the educator, and please don't forget all three, Lucky Murray and very somber. I didn't know X, but his death has affected me in a way that only rapper death that has ever affected me this way was Tupac Shakur back in 1996. I can still remember hearing the news and crying. And I knew that, like, this is crazy. Like, I didn't know Tupac, but the impact that he had, even in a young Lucky's life, I knew that, hey, something major happened, and this is groundbreaking. I feel the same way. So, until next time, people.